Howdy doody. Welcome to episode 156 of TDI. This is Dr. O on the horn to start per usual. I'm joined as always by our House of the Dragon aficionado, my co-host, and also my best friend. He also happens to be my brother. How we doing, Ricky Flicks? And I have one question before you start. Was that the best episode of House of the Dragon so far?
Maybe. It's instant reaction. I want to say yes because it had the politics and it had the antics. But looking back, it's a tough one. Last episode was good too. That the tensions were higher last episode, and with not the young adults, the kids. So I kind of like that as well. And the dragon element was also huge. That's a tough question. I need more time to process that. We literally just wrapped up watching the episode. So I want to say yes, but I don't want to jump to conclusions too early here.
That was an all-time episode of television, in my opinion. Just not even just House of the Dragon wise. I thought clearly that's the best episode. I thought it has the moments that we're going to harken back to when we go 3 seasons from now. All right. We're going to say, remember that moment in season 1 where, spoilers, right? This is a reaction episode where Eamonn gets his head sliced by Damon. Okay. That's going to be similar. It's not to the same magnitude. We don't know really yet of Ned Stark getting beheaded in episode 9 of season 1. Right. It was like the shock factor was godly in that episode. And I also want to congratulate Paddy Considine on winning an Emmy for his role as Viserys. He murdered it this episode. He was in his bag. And if he doesn't, there's no point in anyone being nominated for best supporting actor in a series. He is the guy. Or he might be best lead in this case. I don't know. But he was on another level. Do you agree?
He's definitely a front runner to win just by the nature of how good this series is. And then he's the only one. He's one of the few that's in it throughout without changing actors. So,
yeah.
And this show belongs to win Emmys or deserves to win Emmys based on the year of television here, or at least nominated. So, yeah, he's definitely probably the front runner.
Yeah. And I think my prediction was pretty close that he pretty much was a cloud of dust in this episode. All right. But he had
skeleton
also, arguably, Damon, we talk about that moment slicing off Damon's head. Right up with that is the entrance with the mask. And we're going to get to it. That was so electric. I rewound it 3 times. And I don't want to hear people complaining how slow Robert Pattinson walks in the Batman after that entrance from the King. I don't want any more complaints about the Batman in that regard, right? But last episode, what happens? You mentioned it. We had the kids. The kids are now, so we got a 6-year time jump. So last episode, Eamonn, right, loses an eye, gets in a fight with, right, the bastards, right, Harwin Strong and Rainier's children, offspring. Eamonn takes, right, was it Lena? Lena's dragon?
Vhagar. It took Vhagar.
Takes Vhagar, right? Leads to, right, a brawl between the kids, ends up becoming to, right, a family type of gathering where Viserys, right, in his old age, doesn't seem like he has it anymore, leads to Alicent slicing Rhaenyra, right, in the arm with the knife, right, that does make an appearance in this episode. We time jumped 6 years now, okay? And what is the center of this episode is the successor to Driftmark. All right, so successor to Driftmark, we hear Corliss, who doesn't make a physical appearance in this episode. Right, he is wounded severely during battle, and so now it comes into question whether Rhaenyra's kids, right, or Harwin Strong's kids, right, are going to ascend and take control of Driftmark, even though they're not true Valyrians. And that's where Eamonn has an issue. The brother of Corliss, he thinks that he has this right to the throne, rightfully so. It leads to Rhaenyra, Daemon, and the fam going to King's Landing to settle this issue. Ricky Flicks, what do you think about this time jump and the reintroduction of the kids now, right? And they get a little older, a little more mature.
Yeah, the kids were much better this episode. I didn't hate them. This was good. The kids were good this episode. Aegon, you hate him because it's Aegon, but you don't hate him just because he's a kid. You know what I mean? So the time jump I liked. What I didn't like, and this is, I don't want to spoil a future segment here on the pod, but you can't just say Corliss got wounded in battle. This guy's been so pivotal in this series. and such a Stephen Toussaint has been the actor of Lord Corliss Velaryon. He's been so good in this series. If we don't see him again, then they didn't do him justice with a proper send-off. I think he deserves one, rightfully so, after his performance this season, and for him not to have one, I think would be injustice.
An injustice, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want to ruin a future segment, but that's one I have my eye on for next episode and the rest of this season.
Oh, he'll be back, bro. He's gonna be back. It's obviously it's highly anticipated, because how is he going to react to his brother being beheaded in front of the throne by Daemon Targaryen? Holy crap, what a moment. We know Daemon can't stay too silent for an episode, right? And you don't ever call Daemon Targaryen's wife a whore. You don't ever call Daemon Targaryen's wife a whore. If you have to take away one lesson from this, right? And this was the indicator too. Daemon is so back. He is so back. He is not the dude from Pentos. He's not like the great family man anymore. He is back. He wants to be beside Rainier, right? He wants that ascension. And the moment with his brother in this episode, okay, heartwarming. I felt weird because I was getting emotional during that moment. I was like, wait, am I about to do I feel a tear coming on? It really was touching. Such a powerful moment. But yeah, what do you think about Daemon being back?
You are right. He is so back. And I think that what really started it off was when they decided to go to Dragonstone, Rainier and him. They decided to leave Dragonstone and go to King's Landing. Mm-hmm. And he literally tells the Queen, Alicent, just straight up, what the hell who do you think you are? Not giving us a proper greeting and thinking this and that, basically telling her, you're wrong, the Queen. And he's not the heir. His wife's the heir to the throne. So it's just he gives 0 Fs. You know what I mean? So then, yes, the Vaemon thing, that was so obvious. That was coming. I was just waiting for Daemon. Because when he said say it, when he Vaemon, everyone here listen or watch the episodes. I don't have to go through it, but I was like, oh, he's gonna kill him right now. He wants him to say it so bad, so he has a reason to kill him, and without having to hide it, he's had it done with so many other deaths earlier this season. So that was great. But my favorite part, not just with Daemon, but of this episode, was after he kills Daemon. And who does the camera go to right away? Eamon.
Yep.
Right away. And what have we been saying? He is the next Daemon. He's not the heir, but he's the brother to the heir. And he's the one that causes all this mischief, right? And he did it again at training. He did it at dinner. He did it last episode with the dragon, right? So it's just funny how they did that. They panned to him. And then at dinner, after his controversy there, Daemon steps in, and then Eamon looks at Daemon and goes, all right, I respect him. That's basically who I look up to, which I love. I love that. It's my favorite part of the episode, honestly.
That's a great point. Just seeing those two characters, their dynamic, their level of respect. He liked the move when when Vaemon was beheaded.
And it hurt his side of the family, but he's no, I respect that.
That's a savage move because he thinks in a similar manner. And I think we should naturally just go to Eamon because I have a lot of thoughts. His introduction in this episode was pretty badass. Him fighting Sir Criston Cole in Sir Criston Cole's one scene, right? He's got that almost it felt like from Super Mario Brothers with that spiked ball that he's throwing, right? With the chain. He's trying to not kill, but he's trying to fight. I don't even know, spar. He's sparring with a crowd. And then you see Eamon with the eye, right? So you just know he's calculated, he's dark, right? And even when he's fighting Sir Criston and he ultimately gets the better of him, right? He knows that Harwin Strong and Rainier's kids are watching, and he calls them out afterwards. He sees everything. He's very much in tune, right, with everything going on, and he knows how this power struggle and power dynamic works. And he's very vindictive and he's very confident in himself. I am very excited for his character. And that toast at the end, you can't have a family gathering here where something doesn't go wrong. We can look at the wedding. We can look at the funeral, right? Just whenever Viserys says, hey, let's have family dinner, All right, let's get together. Let's bring everyone together. Like he wants to have this one big happy family. It never can go right. It never can go
I
right.
thought something worse was going to happen.
Yeah, like it was actually light that you have basically Eamonn having a toast after like it was like a toast off. It was like each family was going toast, 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 toast after him basically accusing them of being bastards in front of everyone, right? After this guy just got beheaded for doing that. You know, it's just crazy that he just would stoop to that level again. And also, you see like those dynamics between the families, the brothers, they hate each other. And you see like Rainier and Allison like coming together. It seems like there's hope that they can make an alliance and make this kingdom work. But then who's going to get in the way? It's the kids, bro. The kids are the issue. Everything was going great. The music's going, right? And then we have to have that situation with not only Eamonn, but we got Aegon, right? Hitting on, I think it's Jace's cousin, right? I forgot. I think it's Lena, right? So Lena is getting hit on. So Aegon, first of all, the worst. Yeah, the worst, dude. Like Eamonn is so much more likable, and Aemond's an asshole too. You know, like Aegon, like he rapes a person in this episode. He rapes a person, and then like honestly, who's gonna rule out that Allison didn't kill the person that he raped? Like I thought, like they gave her that, obviously the same type of potion that Rhaenyra drank after she was like to make sure that she didn't have kids, right? She didn't have Damon's kid. I thought it might be poison, like just not like a plan B type thing. Did that cross your mind?
It did, but you knew when I saw that, I knew it was the same thing. And it also a big theme of this episode was like Rhaenyra and Daemon returning to King's Landing. They're home, like Rhaenyra's home for sure, and it was different. They commented it was different, and you saw the symbol of the 7 just all around King's Landing, and it's because Alicent's just very religious, like the prayer at dinner. Like what was that? Like Targaryens, like what are we doing? Like they don't do that. So you could tell she's changed, and Alicent, even though she's determined, right? Like the end of last episode when Otto's like, "Oh, I didn't think you had it in you, but now I see you do." She's still that nice person, and at dinner it was showed the same way. Not only like just giving this servant money, but also at dinner she was saying like, "Rhaenyra, you're the heir. Like you're the heir." So honestly, I thought that was interesting, but it makes sense. At the end of the day, it made sense at the time. Now, if she does that next episode, then I think I would be more taken aback by it.
It's going to be interesting when the king does die, because we assume he kind of dies at the end of this episode.
He did,
right?
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, he's gone. And like them hinting at the knife, like at the end of the episode, it makes me think like maybe you just have Alicent putting him out of his misery and just killing him. I was like nervous that was going to happen, right? But you have obviously the king telling Alicent, you have to unite everybody, be the symbol and things like that. But like honestly, she hasn't been that so far. So let's see if she does that when the king's gone. I'm thinking highly unlikely. What?
Well, yeah, but he thought he was talking to Rhaenyra, so.
Oh, right. Yep. Sorry. Maybe I misread that. I thought he was talking to. No. Oh, he thought he was talking to Rainier that entire time.
Yeah, like when he was talking about the song of Ice and Fire. Like,
oh yeah,
he didn't tell it to Allison. Yeah, and she brought it up earlier, Rhaenyra. So he's like, oh yeah, like that's why Allison's like, what are you talking about? And then the king's like, what we were talking about earlier, dummy. Like,
oh yeah, dying wish though, you know. So maybe
right, but then she took it as like, oh, Aegon has to rule, not. But he was talking about like, oh, when Aegon was talking about like the vision of the Song of Ice and Fire, and obviously Alicent doesn't know that, so she has no idea. So when she hears Aegon and Prince, it's like, oh, that's my son, and he wants him to be heir.
Got it. Yeah. So she's gonna now this is gonna become absolutely problematic going into the next episode.
That's why I said like I'll be taken aback if like what happened with Aegon and the servant. If that happened like next episode, no way, Alicent is letting that woman or girl like leave without like leave in one piece. At least tongues out, if anything, death. Because now it's like, okay, Aegon has to be. She's not being nice and religious now.
No, not at all. And it's interesting to watch her at the beginning of this episode. You said that she changed, right? King's Landing a little bit. She's like she's taking down some of the House Targaryen type of decor that is everywhere. Like she is like so unlikable right now. And like, not only that, it's like her and Otto are running the King's Council. Otto has the gall to sit on the Iron Throne during the settling of the dispute and the conflict over Driftmark and the succession. Like I couldn't believe that he was standing in front, and then to see him sit down, I audibly gasped. I'm like, how is this allowed to happen?
I thought that, but then I thought back to season 1 of Game of Thrones. Ned Stark sat on the Iron Throne, and we know that Ned Stark never wanted the Iron Throne, and he
Mhm.
had more of a right to it or more of a path to it than, say, a Lord Otto Hightower. So he definitely is just like, sitting there because he can, not because he's he's power hungry, of course, but not because he wants to be king. He wants Aegon to be king, of course. So it's not like the same thing. Because, like, again, like just thinking back to Game of Thrones, Ned Stark, like he sat on it and he never wanted it. I think
No.
he just had to just to say, "Oh, this is the king saying this," and to symbolize that I'm sitting on the throne.
Exactly. Okay, good. I think also need to talk about Rhaenyra really quick before we get into our segments today. Like Rhaenyra, like I thought she was down bad at the beginning of this episode. Like she's trying to get Rhaenys to like take her side and make sure that her kids are going to be the successors to Driftmark in case Corliss dies. And she's like, I can't back you. I'm not going to do this. Right? You stand on your own. Right? She's obviously still pissed off about Laenor. Right? Thinking that it was Rhaenyra who had him killed, which sort of is true. She was like down and out, I would say, during this episode. And all of a sudden, she has a resurgence that's led by this insane moment, right? Insanely impactful moment where during this dispute, led by Otto Hightower, is like organizing everything. You got Vaemon coming forward, Rhaenyra, right, and her family there. You got Rhaenys there. Everyone's getting together to try and figure out this Driftmark situation. And who comes in? Grand entrance, the king, Viserys, right? Rhaenyra goes to Viserys asking, right, for help and to back her, and he shows up. He comes in. He's absolutely disgusting looking, right? With half his face. He's crippled, right? He's walking about a mile an hour, but he comes in with this badass mask. Really cool looking. And that like it felt like the writers must have been fun because they're like, this is going to be the moment where people are just going to like lose their minds. Like Viserys, this like weak-minded ruler for most of this season, comes forward probably one of the strongest right moments I think we've had so far. Like, what was your take on that entire like 3 minute, I guess, exchange, a 3 minute sequence?
Yeah, and it's you brought it up how like Lord Otto and Allison are like running the kingdom. They're feeding him milk of the poppy, but he's like, I need a clear judgment, and stops taking it, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
then
melting his brain.
right, and when Allison or Lord Otto keeps saying like, "Oh, we should have milk of the poppy to relieve the pain," he's like, "No, no, I will not." And that's how committed he is to when he passes to unite not just his family, but King's Landing and set up his dynasty or what he thought was going to be his legacy. I mean, for future time, he wants to have his final. Like it was his final stand, as Michael Shevnik, the showrunner, said. Like it was his final stand. This whole episode,
Sapochnik.
and yeah, thank you. And it was like a great episode to like say like, hey, you know what? This is a great like send off episode, like
Mm-hmm.
for him. But like I'm thinking back in Game of Thrones lore, this is one of the better send offs I've ever seen,
Oh
for
yeah.
sure. And we're not even on episode 9 yet. Like we're usually that would happen next episode or the finale, but this
Mm-hmm.
happened the one before. So obviously by the end of this, we saw like some in the teaser for the next episode, some crap's about to go down. But all in all, like, yeah, what a send off. That moment and with Damon helping him, that
Oh
was a
my
great,
God. Yeah.
very smart writing. That was very good. And that also shows the
Putting the
matureness
crown
and
on him. Putting the crown on him. Great
yeah, and
visual.
putting the
Yeah.
crown on him. And that's kind of like to me, like Damon's like, you know what? He's all in for Rainier taking over, and he's not gonna like backstab Rainier. Like he's all in just for this family and his side specifically to be successful. And I actually like that as well. So all in all, like this is a great send off, and I love that scene particularly. Actually, I like that scene better than the dinner scene
Oh
personally.
yeah.
Not.
Easily.
I mean, like the speech with Viserys says. I'm not talking about like if you take out the death and take out the kids from the dinner scene, like Vaemon's death from that, and the kids debacle there or bickering, and just do the two speeches from Viserys. I would take the one from the actual, not at dinner. I would take the one at the at the throne.
This was my favorite moment in the series when him walking in.
Wow.
People talked about how big of a deal it was when Allison made her entrance at the wedding of Rhaenyra and Laenor, but this was just it had my heart pacing. I was just like, oh my God, like
This was
he's
bigger.
like with the mask, him walking in, like Patty Considine was in his bag, bro. He was in his bag. And a broken man, but still like making his final stand. You're right. It felt like a episode 10 of a season of Game of Thrones. It's like, it feels like, because episode 9, the penultimate, usually is a huge battle, which we assume might happen, or maybe a declaration of war next episode.
Yeah.
This felt like the aftermath of something, and then so much crap happens afterwards. It's like those two things. That's the best thing about Game of Thrones. You can have an insane battle episode, or you can have like this type of episode where it's just great sequence after great sequence, right? Conversational, heavy dialogue, but also you'll get that moment where someone's getting their head chopped off. Okay. And you get the incest, and you get these battles that they're these infighting between the family as well. So I think it's time that we move on to one of our segments here. So what we're going to do is power rank our favorite characters. Okay. Episode to episode. This will be ever changing. So we have our episode 8 power rankings. We'll see who goes up, who goes down when we go to episode 9, episode 10. So Ricky Flex, you want to go 5 through 1?
Okay, wait. So this is our favorite characters.
Yeah, like
Okay.
we had a discussion off camera and off recording where we were gonna do like powerful in terms of like who's next in line to become the ruler of the 7 kingdoms. Like what did you think we were doing?
No, I thought it was gonna be like best characters. Okay.
Okay,
Favorite.
I mean,
I like favorites better.
Okay, yeah, power rank favorite characters. And I think we're probably both going to have the same number ones, and maybe we could just start there.
Okay. Who do you think I have?
Damon.
Okay.
Damon is the best character, bro. It's not even close. Like, I was a little nervous that we weren't going to get much Damon, like Rainier, like, where's the pants of the relationship? And then it looks like that's not necessarily the case. Like, Damon has the great moment, as he said, with Viserys, but him chopping off that dude's head, it just tells me we're back to, like, savage Damon. Savage, right? Anything else you want to add? Say why he's number 1?
No, you summed it up. He is the best character by far.
Okay. Let's go on to the number 2. Who do you have for number 2 in your power rankings?
This is where it gets a little tricky. Are we counting dead people?
Whoever appeared in this episode shows up in the power rankings.
All right, Viserys. He'll be my number 2. After this episode?
Yeah, I think so too. I'm going to put him there. I had him at 3, but I think he should be number 2.
I think after this episode, my formerly number 2 severely dropped off in this episode. Severely. Maybe outside my top 5. But no, I shouldn't say that. But dropped down a couple spots. And Viserys shot right up. Great send-off, like I said earlier.
Yeah, it was perfect. And yes, he is not going to make the list next week just because we're going to have parentheses deceased, right? With him dropping down. It's not going to be any fault of his, but like he wasn't in the top 5 before this episode, bro. He maybe was at 5 because Considine did such a great job, and it felt like his character was fading, obviously, because he literally was fading away. So easily, right, this shoots him up the power rankings, right up the leaderboard. All right, I have Viserys 2. I'm gonna go with my 3. I'm gonna say Rainier. Rainier is my number 3 character. I love this actress, right? I think it does a great job, like keeping the core character of Rainier from Millie Alcock to Emily Darcy. I think she looked like she was down and out, as I said before, but she comes back strong. I think it's an excellent scene where she does the toast at the end, right? And she's the one that is trying to basically mend the relationship with Alicent, and now it seems like it's actually she means it. Like before, she was trying to mend the relationship because she wanted to make sure Alicent wasn't going to kill her kids because they're bastards, right? It seemed like it was a power play previously, but now it seems like she does have a heart of some sort, and she seems like she's confident alongside Damon. And I can't wait to see what those two cook up in the future. And it seems like it's so true that they need each other. And they're just going to be an excellent tandem. And Alicent's not going to have anybody soon without Viserys. She has Kristen Cole, maybe that's going to be by her side. But that duo ain't going to match the fire that that Rhaenyra and Daemon have. Who do you have for 3?
But I'm Team Rhaenyra. But did she come out as strong in this episode?
She started off super weak. Yes, like I'm saying, I don't know. By the end, I'm like, okay, she's kind of back.
Let's think about the history, starting with the first time jump when we went from Millie Alcock to Emma Darcy here. Okay, she just birthed a child with quote unquote Sir Lanor, and immediately she succumbed to the Queen's demands to go to like have the child brought to the queen, right? And throughout
She's
that
the queen.
entire episode, Rainier is trying to claw back, right? Trying to get some sort of power, but then she flees because she doesn't have any. Alicent has all the power. So I'm like,
Mhm.
okay. And then looking at this episode where she comes to Dragonstone, she doesn't get the greeting. King's Landing's totally changed. She kind of gets before Viserys shows up. She needed Viserys to show up, or else that was
Yeah,
not going her way at all.
100%. That's what I'm saying.
So I know, and also like imagine that conversation like uh with Alicent versus Daemon and Rhaenyra. If Daemon wasn't there, that wouldn't have gone the way that did because I think Daemon just provides that strength. Like Daemon needs Rhaenyra, like you said, mainly because just Rhaenyra is the heir and she's pure like her brother's daughter, heir to the throne. But Rhaenyra needs just a backbone of strong because I don't think she's as strong as she wants or needs to be. And I think it's clear with her conversations with Alicent. And that's why she always takes the high road all the time, such as at dinner. And then with Rhaenys, I don't know how you pronounce it,
Rhaenys.
Rhaenys, Queen of Driftmark, sign of desperation, show weakness there as well. And again, great quote saying like it doesn't matter if it's desperate or not, like it's what has to happen. But again, like she's had those conversations before with her, never shown strength. So I'm Team Rhaenyra. She's my number 3, just because I think she is she's as a
I'm
whole. I'm Team
shocked after
Rhaenyra.
this slander that you've gone on for the
But
last 2
I will
minutes.
say I don't think she's as strong as people think. I really don't.
Yes, her back was against the wall this episode. She was like, everyone counted her out. She thought she was done, right? And her dad does what dads do, right? Had her back, right? Without Viserys, this is over. This is
But
over. Those kids are gone, right? Driftmark is no longer there. And her legitimacy to the throne is in question, obviously, okay? If her kids don't get Driftmark, they're like, oh, they don't get Driftmark because they're not Velaryon. Therefore, you have a bunch of bastards as your kids. And then it confirms everything. And I don't know. She comes back, but I think her with Daemon together, and she is desperate. She's going to the king. He could barely speak. He doesn't even recognize her. Doesn't recognize Daemon, and they're asking like, "Hey, you got to do this for us, right?" Really desperate. They even show off the baby that's named after the king. Like, "Hey, we named a baby after you." So desperate, right? Like, okay, this is great. So down and out in the beginning, but comes back fairly strong. And the toast, it shows like all confidence, right? Seems to be in good hands for now, that in terms of that relationship with Alicent. But as long as Damon's by her side, dude, like I just love that dynamic, and they're going to be a force.
yeah, of course. I just think that I thought I originally wanted to put someone ahead of Rhaenyra, and that's Alicent, who's my number 4. And it's because she shows that, you know what? Like last episode, like she's got a little crazy. I'm Team Rhaenyra, but she got a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But she shows that determination, and she's shown that strength ever since that walk at the wedding or the wedding reception dinner, when she had the green on, showing the sign of war and everything like that, going into war. And ever since then, it keeps climbing, climbing, climbing. Her determination and ruthlessness. And now she thinks that her husband, the former king, on his dying wish, said for her firstborn to be king. She's going to follow through with that. So I think very quickly I'm going to start liking Alicent more than Rhaenyra. I will never be team. I don't think I'll ever be Team Alicent, but I will start liking Alicent as a character, and she looks like promising to rise above Rhaenyra in the power rankings for me.
Alicent doesn't crack my top 5.
That's crazy.
This is like favorite characters. I hate her. Like I just like she's like a thing so despicable to me. And
but like Cersei, you hate Cersei, but like she's in your top 5.
Cersei's a little different. She's like she's a schemer, and like there are parts to her and her relationship, and like it's the similar fashion to how Daemon and Rhaenyra get together and they get along and understand each other. Similar to like Jaime and Cersei. Like Alicent is just, to me, like evil. She sucks. Like she sucks. And like her, like just like trying to like run the king's council, dismissing Rhaenyra, who I like a lot more, and just like not greeting her, changing up King's Landing. I just don't like her. Even when the king walks in, she's like upset. Like she's because she wants, right? Obviously, soul power. She wants Rhaenyra out of the way. Like she looks at this as an opportunity to kind of dismantle her. But like, and her and Otto, just like that dynamic is like kind of scummy. I like Otto more, to be honest. But Alicent is just, I don't find her remotely likable. That's why she doesn't crack my top 5.
I think I agree with everything you said, but you cracks the top 5 because you got to respect the game. You got to respect the game.
Yeah, I just don't like the way she treats Rainier and everyone else in
Oh,
the
of course, me
kingdom.
neither. Me
Yeah,
neither.
well, I'm just saying that she's not one of my favorite characters. That's
So
why
who's
she's
your
not
number
here.
4? So I said my 4. Who's your
Oh,
4?
Eamon, bro.
Okay, he's my
Eamon.
5th.
Eamon is kind of electric now. He is must
Oh yeah.
watch. Like with the eye patch and the guy, I love how they aged the actor 6 years. Like this guy is going to be a beast. This guy is going to be a beast. He's a great warrior. He's got Vagar by his side. He's not afraid to like muck it up a little bit. Him at the toast at the end, calling out with the strongs. I started laughing. At that moment, right? And you see, like we made already the connection to Damon, how they kind of respect one another. I want to see him in a trial by combat. I think it's inevitable. It's going to come at some point. A trial by combat, I could see that happening potentially over right the kids' bloodlines. If they're called into question, maybe. And we saw right the sparring there with Kristen Cole getting a little bit older. Who are they going to call upon? Maybe they go Eamon. Eamon's an absolute beast, right? So I definitely had him top 5.
I wanted to put him higher, but again, this is power rankings, right? We've seen this certain aspect of Eamon for one episode, and he was that electric, so he deserves to crack the top 5. But for me, didn't deserve to go higher than like an Alicent Rhaenyra, who firmly grasped this series. Eamon, I think he's about to, but he's still not a core character. He's approaching that Damon peak. But again, like he's not there yet. Like we mentioned earlier, when the camera shots would pan to Eamon after Damon did something crazy. So he looks projected to go higher. His trajectory is only going up, but he's still only 5th on my power rankings.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely upwards trajectory. Like he has potential to rise to like the number 2 potentially on my list. It's gonna be hard to unseat Damon because again, he can't be Damon. Like Damon's only Damon, right? He's gonna do his best job to be like this great warrior and someone to be like obviously keep an eye on. And there's so much anticipation now. Like, what is he going to do? How is his relationship with the Rhaenyra's kids? How is it going to his nephews? How is it going to develop in the future? So I'm very excited about that. So he's my number 4. Did you already say your 4?
I've said my 5 now. Actually, Eamon was my 5th.
Eamon was 5, right? Gotcha. Okay, and my 5. I'm also going to pull another kid. Even though it's the first time we saw him. I'm not talking about basically episode by episode here. Just like my feelings right now. I think I'm not even sure of his name, but I believe it's Jace. Jace at the end of this episode, he is going to be married to his cousin, who is Lena. You have him. He sticks up to Aegon, who's just an absolute dickhead. So seeing him stick up to Aegon and like sticking it to him, doing it the moral way, the right way, it had very much like Stark vibes to him. And also him taking Aegon's wife, and they start dancing. He does the toast, and the king says, "Well done, boy," right after he gives the toast. I think he's someone that I find, like out of the kids that are Rhaenyra's, I find him the most likable. And I think he's going to have a rivalry, obviously, with both Eamon, because he took away Aemon's eye. So you see Eamon challenging him at like even before Eamon starts to go off on his toast. I'm just interested in that dynamic. He's the most likable, and I don't want to put Otto or Alicent in my top 5. That's why.
Yeah, Otto has declined for me.
He was top 5. He was top 5 last week for me, but like
last
now
week
he's less. Well, he's less in the show. Obviously, he's
right.
making a comeback. He's running the kingdom alongside Alicent, right? But I already hate Alicent, so I can't really like Otto too much if I hate Alicent, right?
I would say like after episode 3, like right before Otto got sent away, he was in my top 5. But ever since he got sent away, it just hasn't been the same since. So he's not been in my top. I would have like Larys is like Larys Strong. He's just not in it enough, but he's awesome and he's very memeable.
He's good.
Which
I thought about him, but he just wasn't in this episode, and I viewed this as the best episode. So I'm just like, this is very much in the moment. These are my top 5.
And I also had Corliss, but he wasn't in this episode, like you said. So his power rankings, like
I would have had him too.
He people rise, but then you have people that have to fall. And it's not because Corliss sucked, it's because he wasn't even there. So it's just by nature of people rising and him not being there, it's just, oh, he's gonna have to fall. So yeah, like I used to really like Lionel Strong, but like nowhere near the top five. Rainier, like I mentioned earlier, nowhere near the top five, but she's a good
Rainier
character.
looked weak this episode. She didn't back Rainier, and then the king calls upon her saying, "Hey, we settled this. What we say? What do you think?" And then she ends up backing Rainier. That was the moment where I'm like, okay, Rainier's back too, right? She's not down and out anymore. Rainier said this in front of everybody, and then she ends up agreeing to the deal that she proposes, where her kids will be wed to, right? No. What happened? Rainier offered Rainier's
For her
what is
two
it?
kids to
Their
wed
arranged marriage, right? Lena
their
and
granddaughters. Yeah.
Jace,
Who are their
right?
cousins, Damon's
Yeah,
kids.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so hard to remember all these names, and with now like the bastards and like the different looking kids, and trying to remember everyone's names. It's too much at some points. I have the cast in front of me here, and I still can't get it right, bro. It's so
also
hard.
the time jumps and changing of actors make it even more difficult.
Yeah.
And also the brothers look so similar. Now with the Strongs, they Rhaenyra's kids, bastards. It's like, okay, we clearly know which is which because one's clearly older than the other. But what messes with me now is that those two, they are younger than Eamon and Aegon, but like they're not supposed to be that much younger, but they look so much younger. They're supposed to be like within like a 5-year time frame, but they look like 8 years younger, to me at least. And because just the physical presence that Aegon and Aemon are to them, it's just that's what it signals to me. And it's not because they're Targaryen, like true Targaryens. It's because look at Strong, like he was a beast. So it makes that's not the problem. It's just that I think the age gap is bigger than what they're implying.
Like Eamon looks so much older than he did like
and
in
he's
the
younger
last
than
episode.
Aegon.
Yeah, crazy. He looks
So
so much.
they're not doing a good job showing that. I just want to also mention that because this episode clearly showed that to me.
But I do love that we didn't spend a lot of time with them as kids. It's hard to trust young actors, and like with prestige TV, it's like sometimes that can be where it goes haywire. But they have the kids were great. Like those actors, I saw some behind the scenes clips. I don't know if it was Lucerys, I think it was. He was like dancing and stuff when he was before like the scene came on. Then he got in the mood. He's like shaking, he's wiggling, and then all of a sudden they say action, and then he snaps into right prestige TV mode. Like he was like it's really impressive how they do that. So hats off to the kids, but I'm glad we don't get too much of them. I want to change my 5. Corliss is 5. Sorry, I have to do it. Corliss is 5 for me. Get rid of Jace. I can't have him on a graphic. I can't have his face up there when it says Dr. Rose's favorite characters. Corliss has got to be 5. Jace is on the cusp.
All right, so name your 5 again so I can write it down.
Yes, officially. All right, I have Corliss at 5, anticipating his return. I got Eamonn at 4. I got Rainier at 3, Viserys at 2, Daemon at 1.
Okay, got it. And I have Daemon,
Daemon,
Viserys, Rhaenyra, same top 3. But then I have Alicent at 4, Eamon at 5.
Okay. So I think I just brought up Corliss. I think this is a great segue into our next segment, which will be the Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me character for next episode. So I think Corliss is the most obvious contender for this, right? For this segment. He is someone that is talked about, not seen. He's severely injured. Is his physical appearance going to be different? What's he going to do when he finds out about Daemon and how he's beheaded in front of all? How does he feel about Driftmark, right? Going to his grandson, right? Who he doesn't have a tight connection to, but he does believe in. He doesn't have a blood-related connection to this grandson, but right, he still is a Velaryon by name, which is most important to him. I'm very excited to see what Corliss brings to the table next episode.
Yeah, sure. His brother got killed by Daemon. I think he's going to be happy.
He gets what he wants, right?
Yeah,
like, this
he
is
gets what he wants. And he's, again, like you just said, history books remember names, right? So he will be happy that the Queen of Driftmark did that, his wife. And he'll be happy that Vaemon's dead, who was trying to beneath him. Go behind his back and try to take the throne away from his heirs. his heirs. So Viserys made it clear, really simple. There's a clear line of succession. Like, why are we even having this conversation? And it's obviously because of the bastards element, but
Yeah.
he refuses, and he always has been. The one consistency with Viserys is that he refuses to let any bastard talk be allowed. He doesn't care, and he's along the same lines as Corliss, where he only cares about the history books, right? Only cares about the names. Doesn't matter if they have black hair, like Ned Stark in season 1 of Game of Thrones. Like, oh, black hair, Targaryen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or Valerian. So that I actually think he won't care for. So when he goes to the next episode,
but at the same time, he still got his brother's head got chopped off.
I really think it's his own fault.
But also, we have to see Corliss's reaction, because we see how pissed Rainier is still at Rainier when he finds out Daemon killed his brother, and also Daemon and Rainier are pretty much responsible for Laenor's death, or at least they assume. I don't think he's going to be necessarily happy. I think he already has a lot against them, and he was just thinking about line of succession, right? And I think he's still not going to take it too well. Yeah, I don't think it's going to lead to war or anything. But it should be something to look out for sure. What?
The thing to look out for is, I agree, not war, but with the teaser trailer, this is a great teaser trailer.
I didn't see
the next episode. Oh man, like Aegon. Sorry. So Alicent and Otto are going to challenge for Aegon to be the heir. So officially, the king is dead.
So they're using what the king said.
Yeah, exactly. So she's going through with it. And who is shown in this as well? Actually, just to finish my thought with Corliss, it's going to be interesting to see which side he picks. I think he's going to pick Rhaenyra's side still, unless something drastic changes, right? Something with Laenor coming back, but I don't think that happens this season. Definitely not next episode, hopefully, in my prediction. But there's what are you going to say?
This is such a shame that all the progress made at the dinner just fell apart immediately, and then
immediately,
it meant nothing. It was just a good way for Viserys, like he gets to see his family together before he passes away.
Yeah,
but it means nothing now.
But in the teaser trailer, Dr. O, they showed the other "Don't You Forget About Me" person, and it's Larys.
Larys is the other candidate. Yep.
What has he got going on to help Alicent out to maybe put the balance more in their favor, right? That's what I'm interested in. Yes, Corliss, that is the obvious. Don't you forget about me. But the second would be Larys. What is his involvement to try to even the tides here?
100%. I also had another candidate. Like it's actually just the best example of this, and it's Messaria showing up at the end of this episode. She has a person on the inside, right? If you don't know who Messaria is, that is basically the whore of Daemon from the first 2 episodes. So she is still around, and she has people on the inside of of the castle, right? Of King's Landing. And she hears about all the rumors. She starts the rumors, she spreads the rumors, and she puts them throughout the kingdom, right? So she very much has a pulse on the public eye. So I think that's also another person. That's a perfect example of the new segment, the "Don't You Forget About Me" Simple Minds.
That's a good shout. That's a good shout.
Yes. And then where we have to go next? 3 stars of the night. 3 stars of the episode. Okay. Who are your 3 stars for tonight's episode?
Should we just start with the obvious number 1 being Viserys?
The king. King is first star of the night.
Has to be. And then I think it's a battle for 2 and 3, but I gave the edge for my number 2 to the newcomer, Eamonn.
I had Daemon 2, and then I gave him 3.
In a normal, I want to put Daemon 2, so maybe I just put Daemon 2. But I was just so happy how good Eamonn was. I was so happy with that. Yeah, but Daemon kills Daemon. It has to be Daemon.
It's the moment, right? It's the moment alongside the it's the ending of that incredible scene, like the king, the trot, all right, the grace that he has, even when the mask, and then leading to the beheading. Like that was pure Game of Thrones. That was awesome. And then Aemond's 3, because we just got to see a little bit more out of him, but it's an amazing introduction to his character, and it gives us a glimpse of what he's going to become. So that's my 3 stars. So we had the same 3 stars. And our power rankings are somewhat similar. I just don't have Allison. All right. Any predictions you got for next episode you want to fire off? Any takes you have before we sign off?
No, I'm gonna double down. Yeah, maybe he's not happy. He's definitely not happy to do it. But I think Corliss sides with Damon and Rainier. I think that's gonna happen.
Dude,
He cares about
how's
history too
Valaria
much.
just they've had such a tough run these last 3
Well,
episodes.
they're not even existing in Game of Thrones, so this is exactly why.
Yeah, they've had a tough run. Lena getting burnt, like burning herself alive.
It's
Lenore faking his
tragedy
death. They
after
all think
tragedy.
he's dead, right? The wedding, and no, like they don't have pure blood. It's part of House Valaria, but yet they're still Valerian kids. I don't know, with black hair and extremely white. I don't know, just doesn't line up. You gotta feel for him. So that's gonna do it for episode 156 of the Drive-In Podcast. Make sure you're following our feed wherever you're listening right now. If you want to check out our She-Hulk reactions, all right, probably not the best place to start, but Daredevil showed up last episode. You want to see our reactions? It's on YouTube. It's also on the feed. This week we got Werewolf by Night. We'll be talking and breaking it down. Newest edition Halloween special from the MCU. We also got the checkup later on this week. We didn't have any movies to talk about this week, Ricky Flex, other than Werewolf by Night.
No, I didn't see Amsterdam.
We will not be talking about Amsterdam. All right. $80 million budget somehow. And I think it brought in just under 10 mil in its opening weekend. Yikes. Still love Christian Bale, though. So make sure you're also following on YouTube. All right. Subscribe there. If you are watching currently, make sure you leave a comment. We'll comment back. Make sure you're also following the social channels at the Drive-In for Twitter and Instagram. All right. That's going to do it for episode 156 for Ricky Flux and Dr. O. Until next time, we will smell ya.